Welcome to the Real Estate Guide to Success video series. I'm Vance Poindexter,
I'm Ronnie Adams.
and today's topic will be profiting from residential investment property. Today we're going to be talking about specifically money at the settlement table, profiting from your monthly rent, refinancing your property to get some equity out, selling or flipping the property for a profit, and also discuss some of the tax advantages that are available from your investment property. All right, so item number one will be money at the settlement table.
What you would need to do if you're looking to get some money back at the table, then you're going to ask the seller or request from the seller to raise his sales price. Now, if his sales price is $90,000 and you're going to request to have him raise this to $100,000, then there's $10,000 that's going to be left over. Now, that $10,000 can go to paying for your settlement cost and you walking away from the table with a little bit of money. Now, it's not as easy as just finding a buyer who's willing to raise his sales price. You have to have your mortgage company, they have to agree with it, and the title company would have to also agree to this arrangement. The title company is going to have to write two checks, one for $90,000, one for the extra $10,000. Both checks would be written to the seller's name. The seller's going to endorse the $10,000 check, and he's going to give it back to the title company, which the title company would allow you to use that money to pay off your closing costs. Whatever money is left over at that time, you're going to be able to walk away with. The conventional financing, and we're talking about FHA, they may have a problem with a deal like this. But if you were going subprime, then there's other lenders out there that really wouldn't have a problem with it. As long as the house appraises for the increased amount of the sales price, a lot of times they don't have a problem with it. So we already talked about that your title company and everything, a mortgage company, they have to agree for this to work. And the great thing is that the seller is going to get their asking price, their full asking price.
So in the end, the seller gets his asking price, you get money towards settlement and possibly money, a little bit of extra money yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You may end up walking away with a couple $1,000s.
Okay, item number two we have is profiting from the monthly rent.
Now, in your monthly rent, the only way to profit from your monthly rent is that all your expenses that you have for the house, whether it be your mortgage payment, your taxes, water bills, whatever that you're paying, then you want to make sure that your monthly rent is higher than those expenses. Now, the geographical area, that must support the higher rent. You can't just say that this particular area is going to support $1,000 a month and all of a sudden I'm going to raise my rent to $1,500 a month. I'm not going to be able to get it. So the area that you're in or the house is in, you can't have rent that's going to be more than what the area can support. You want to, again, make sure that you tally up all of your expenses that you have on this particular house, and you want your rent to be, of course, higher than that amount by a couple $100s, which would be pretty much safe. You want to make sure that some repairs that may happen throughout the course of the month or whatever like that, that rent is going to be able to cover that. Now remember, if you have a hot water heater that breaks and you have to replace it, then that may cost you $300-400 to be able to replace that. Now, if your rent was only $100 higher and that's all the profit that you were making, you're going to lose profit for the next 4 months. So you have to make sure that your rent is going to be high enough to take care of those unforeseen things that may happen throughout the course of the month.
Okay, next we're going to talk about a topic that many people are very familiar with, refinancing your property to get some money out.
When refinancing your property is probably the easiest way to go. Your property is going to have whatever the mortgage is. Let's just say the mortgage is $100,000. If my property has increased in value, then I can take a higher loan. So my original loan may have been $100,000. Now I take a loan for $120,000, let's just say. Then there's going to be $20,000 that's left over after my first mortgage is paid off. So once that mortgage is paid off, again, that $20,000 can go into my bank account. It's not taxable because it's a loan. So someone has to pay that loan back. Your mortgage, remember, is not $100,000 anymore, it's $120,000. Now that $20,000 that went into your pocket, it still has to be paid back. But The big thing is it's not paid back by us. We're going to make sure that our rent is going to be able to support that higher mortgage amount. So remember, again, it's not a taxable amount because it is a loan and it has to be paid back.
Is there a limit on the number of times you can refinance? Can I come back if the property raises in value another $20,000 2 years later? Can I refinance
You
again?
can always refinance again because the first mortgage is paid off, and when you refinance, then that second mortgage that you're putting on the house is actually not a second mortgage, it's a new mortgage. So it just shows as just a mortgage on the house. You could do it as many times as you like.
I guess the only downside with doing it multiple times would be you're paying closing costs
Yes,
each
yes,
time.
yes. Well,
Okay.
now if you go to a bank, their closing costs are really small. So sometimes, if you catch them at the right time, there are no closing costs.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of times they have specials, and they're just like, oh, we just want to get it done. So there may not be closing costs, but if you go to a regular mortgage company, yes, you will have.
All right, next, we're going to talk about selling or flipping the property for a profit.
Selling or flipping the property. You're going to buy a property at whatever the sales amount is. You're going to also take in consideration all the fix up that I have to do on that particular property. Once I figure out how much that I purchased the property, how much it cost me to fix up the property, then I'm going to turn around and sell the property at a higher amount. So let's just say, again, for an easy number, I bought the property and fix it up for $100,000. If I can turn around and sell the property for $150,000, then I have $50,000 that would be left over. Now, that $50,000 is taxable because that is profit. I have purchased the property for a certain amount, say the 100,000, everything is fixed up, I got the 100,000. When I sell the property and I walk away with that $50,000, that's actually taxable income. So it's not like a mortgage because the property, you're done with it, you've sold it at that time. So you just have to make sure that you remember that.
All right, next up, there are special tax savings, I understand, for real estate investors.
Yeah, we get write-offs, or anyone would get write-offs for fixing up the house. Now, of course, you don't get write-offs for your personal house that you live in, but for an investment property, the government looks at that as a business. So if I were to buy lumber, fix it up, buy any materials, anyone I may pay to do work on a house, those are items that I can write off. But those items, I actually put the cash out. So if it costs me $5,000 to fix up a house, whether it's buying material and paying somebody, that $5,000 is actually out of my pocket, out of my bank account. Now, when I come down to the end of the year, I've made a certain amount of profit. That $5,000 would offset some of that profit, but that money is still out of my pocket. We have, or you would have for your investment property, you would have depreciation write-offs. Now, those write-offs are write-offs that you get that you actually didn't put money out on. So Uncle Sam, our uncle, he looks at it as, okay, a particular house you're going to get is according to how much the house that you paid for it, how long you've had it. That's going to determine how much of the depreciation you could write off, and there's actually a number that would be equated with that. So now that particular number, that's going to offset the profit that you made at the end of the year. For an easy number again, let's just say for one particular house, you were able to write off for depreciation, let's just say it was $5,000, $6,000. So that $5,000, $6,000 will come off of your profit that you had made. So of course your taxable income is going to be lower at that point. So if you made a profit of $100,000 for that year, you got depreciation write-offs for $5,000. Let's just say it's not a dollar for dollar, but let's just say you're around 95, 96,000. That's going to be your taxable income, not the full $100,000 at that point. Now it can be, you can still write off a car for depreciation that you use primarily for your business, computers and things like that. There's other things that you could still, they're not as high, but the depreciation savings is there. And of course, if you have multiple properties, then that's where you really get the savings because you just multiply it by how many houses that you have.
All right, that one sounds like a really good one that many people probably don't know about. but we'll put money in your pocket nonetheless.
Or at least it will keep money in your pocket.
There you go. There you go. All right, we've come to the end of the first installment of our video series. We want people to visit our website, realestateguidetosuccess.com, where you'll find a free real estate investing course. There are blog posts, podcasts, polls, resources, everything you need to be successful in your business. Once again, I want to thank you for checking out our video series, and we look to see you soon.